Kangen Water Reception at the Institute of Directors in London.
Right, so that one's here. This one's me. I'll do that one now. Screenshots, pictures.
I have been in the medical profession for the last 24 years, 9 years of which I was studying. The last 15 years I worked in A&E. So 3-4 years ago I met a chap called Mark Tan. He's also a doctor in the emergency department. And one of the things that we both share is this common vision about how medicine is being practiced. We both feel quite frustrated with the way in which medicine is being practiced because we don't feel that we're treating the underlying cause. What we're treating is symptoms. A lot of patients come in and they're on multiple medications. Hands up on people on multiple medications or know somebody with who are on multiple medications. Show of hands. Yes? A few people. A lot of people in this country will find that a lot of patients will be on a high blood pressure pill. They'll be on a high cholesterol pill. They'll be on a proton pump inhibitor. They'll be on a painkiller of some sort. And what does this tell you? This is telling us that we're losing the battle against chronic medicine, surely. These people didn't sign up for this sort of thing. So, this is one of the things that myself and Mark found frustrating. So, how do we address this problem? Does anybody know who the father of medicine is? Aristotle? No? Who else? Hippocrates. Now, what did Hippocrates used to say? He used to say, let thy food be thy medicine, let thy medicine be thy food. And this is the chap who every single doctor in this country has to take what? The Hippocratic Oath. This is the father of medicine. Now the trouble is, our compass heading in medicine has drastically changed. We're not following those rules anymore. We are now dependent on some of the things which have gained some success, like drugs, surgery, psychotherapy. These are the tools that the doctor has, and that's it. How long do you spend at the GP? How long does he give you?
Well, I don't go that
Does he, well, if you've ever gone to the GP, how long does he spend with you?
About an hour.
An hour with you?
5 minutes, I'd say.
Right. Find out the name of that GP and go and see. Are you from the UK?
Private doctors, yes.
Personal friend? Oh, unless you have a personal friend. Well, most people in this country, if they go and see their GP, they'll be lucky to get past 5 to 10 minutes. You see? And he'll go, and usually it's a locum. It's not even. See, in the old days, a doctor used to be somebody who was quite high in the community. He knew everybody. He knew your daughter. He knew when you were born. He knew your mother. But that's gone. The village in the city, that's gone. You have people who are locums, people you've never met before. And they'll spend 5-10 minutes with you, and then he's going to tell you what to do. So he's got his notes. Obviously he'll look at your notes, but that's about what he has. So clearly there's things going wrong in the medical profession which we need to try and change. Has anybody in this room heard of functional medicine? No. Now, functional medicine is a terminology which was coined in Washington State, USA. And they have constructed a different way of practicing medicine. The way they look at medicine is that you have to sit for an hour with a patient to get a full history. And then you will sit down and formulate some sort of plan. And when I say sit down for an hour, we're not talking about, sitting there talking about what's going on with the weather and all this sort of thing. They actually go into the deep intricacies of what's going on in your life. They're going to spend some time asking you about your nutrition. They're going to be asking you about the kind of work you do. They're going to be asking you whether you have pets. They're going to ask you everything but what's going on in the kitchen sink. And the reason why that is because that is what you need to do in order to get to the bottom. If you talk to any clinical person in the medical profession, they'll tell you 75 to 80% of the actual treatment or the actual clues to how to solve that problem is in the history. So we should be spending more time taking histories. The examination only confirms what you may already know, you see. So that's functional medicine, and that is something that is taking some weight. It's actually taking some momentum in this country. We had our first functional medicine forum last year, and we continue to do that. So more and more doctors are becoming more aware of this. Now, the other thing that you're going to find in the medical profession is hardly anybody sits down and talks to you about nutrition. As a matter of fact, a lecture in medical school is about 1 hour, of which 45 minutes of that is lecturing. The last 15 minutes, they hand out a piece of paper and they'll ask you which food contains potassium, which food contains chlorine, which food contains calcium, which food contains lysine amino acid. This is how it goes. And that's it, finish. Right? But yet, nutrition is probably, or is in fact, the root of most of all the problems. We all eat, yes? Well, most of us. We all drink. So you want to get those things right. What you put in your body will determine pretty much the causes of your ailments. You see? So this is why it's important nutrition needs to be. And this is one of the reasons why myself and Mark Tatton decided to enroll on a course at the College of Naturopathic Medicine, and we're both today qualified nutritional therapists. And we are going on to actually expand on that. Because as a naturopath, see, now I can tell you, I've been on both sides of the coin. I'm actually now a naturopath. I used to be a doctor, now I'm a naturopath. And what's the difference? Naturopaths have more tools in the box. As I said, the doctor will give you drugs, he'll give you operations, he'll give you psychotherapy, but he doesn't have all the other things. Because if you go back to Hippocrates, what he used to say was, start with the food. If the foods don't work, you go with the herbs. If you don't go with the herbs, then you go with homeopathy. If the homeopathy doesn't work, you work with Bach flowers. If the Bach flowers don't work, then you start looking at things like meditation, spiritual, healing, physical, all of these kind of iridology. Yes? Do you know, every single one of you, if we look inside your eyes, we will be able to tell what things you're predisposed to. Has anybody heard of 23andMe?
Yes, yeah.
What is that?
Genetic testing.
Genetic testing. You send a saliva sample to the other side of the world, they'll do these tests and they'll come back with a complete genetic makeup of what you have and what you're susceptible to. We had that by just looking in the eye. If you look in the eyes, your right eye is inherited from your father, your left eye is inherited from the mother, and if you look in the eyes, you'll be able to pinpoint certain areas where you might be susceptible to diabetes, whether you might be susceptible to high cholesterol. Now that doesn't mean you have it, but what it means is we can now structure your medication, your treatment, according to that and trying to prevent those things and prevent you falling into that trap of then getting that illness. So these are the things that you have. So as a naturopath, you have more tools in the box. I think I'm going to end up with one story. So you had this chap who went to the fair and he bought goldfish, yes, in a bowl. And this fish, he loved this fish so much that within 2 weeks, the fish started looking a little bit ill. Didn't look quite well, yes? So what did he do? He decided to take the fish to the doctor. So the doctor said, okay, why don't you take some antibiotics? So he gave the antibiotics to the fish. Within 2 days, the fish perked up. The old man was happy. He says, my fish is perked up. Another week goes past, dead. Fish is floating. He was very, very upset. So he went back down and he bought another fish. 2 weeks on, fish is looking a bit ill. What does he do this time? He goes to a naturopath. Yes? Can anybody tell me what the naturopath told him to do? Change your water, change your life. A 55-year-old lady who was diagnosed with stage 3 lymphoma back in 2014. And she had received 3 cycles of chemotherapy. And what had happened is she approached one of my colleagues, another doctor, and he was keeping an eye on her, and she said to him that she's had 3 cycles and unfortunately the cancer has come back. And what they then did, they said to her, well, and this was in December of 2014, and they said to her that we can offer you another course, but unfortunately there's a 25% chance of survival. So at which point it was quite a heartfelt situation, and the lady said to my colleague, you know, she's going to put her affairs in order, and she thanked Dr. Mark for his input and everything. So that's when Mark came to me, and I said to him, I said, well, you know, we've been promoting Kangen for a while. You know, we've been, if you look inside this book here, which is Killing Cancer Not People, which is the 3rd edition, there are numerous cases of situations where people who've had cancer who will drink Kangen 11.5, which is the one you saw, that emulsified oil, approximately 4 litres, and people have benefits. So we approached her and we told her about it. We said, why don't you try this? What have you got to lose at the end of the day? So she said, okay, fine, I'll try it. Now the other thing about it was, her husband was a chemist. So these are going to be the most skeptical people in the planet, basically, because you're right in the lion's den there, you know. So he didn't believe a word of it. So, but what he did was, he was the one who had to drive down to Mark to pick up this 11.5 every other day, and there she was. She was on this 11.5 for 3 weeks, December 2014. They said they'd written her off. They said you will not see 2015.
How many liters a day, please?
4 litres. 4 litres of Kangen 11.5. So she started to do this. 2nd of January 2015, went to see the oncologist. The oncologist was shocked to discover that the tumour cells or the lumps in one side of the body had disappeared. Now, that obviously was a good sign of things, you know, to come. But what happened then was the next tragedy. The family got really excited. So what did they go and do? They went off and bought a competitor machine. They didn't buy this machine. They just bought any old ionizer, which claimed to do the same thing. What do you think happened in 2 months? Everything came back with a vengeance. Yes? So at this point she said, you know what, I've had it. She took the machine, threw it out, contacted Mark, got the machine, installed. 2 months later, complete remission. Does that deserve a round of applause? I mean, that does, doesn't it? Yeah. Because what happened was, one of the things you'll find with cancer is a lot of patients, they go, I don't know if you know the Macmillan team. They'll usually take these patients to a place, they'll get them to do these activities and what have you. And the problem with those is that they're very, I mean, yoga and things like that, the energy levels that she had, she couldn't last 20 minutes into it. As she started drinking this water, she started noticing that she could actually last throughout a class. As a matter of fact, within 2 months of drinking the water, the lady was digging holes in her allotment. She was actually digging holes. She was actually out working in the garden. So it just goes to show, and this goes hand in hand with some of the things you heard. One of the things that I should mention is that with this water, there are 4 main side effects. The first side effect is anybody who drinks the water for the first time will notice they'll get a headache. Some people get a headache.
I do.
You did?
Yes.
Yes. And why you get it, it's not because of the knowledge that you're getting, but what you'll find is that the cells in your body, they have a standard, they have a specific pH. And what's happening is you're shocking the system. The cells are not used to that level of pH. So when you start to drink that water, the nerves start firing off and saying, what the hell is this? And then you acclimatise. You'll notice after a few days, the headache goes. And this is what's known as healing crisis. Yes? So that's the first thing. The second side effect is probably a lot of you are feeling that now. You're feeling the urge to go to the toilet. As you drink this water, it gets into the system very, very quickly. This water is one of the most efficient transportation mechanisms possible known to man. Because what it's going to do is going to get into every single one of your cells. How many cells in your body? 37 to 72 trillion cells in the body. And every single one of those is penetrated because of our friend who discovered aquaporin channel, Mr. Peter Agre. Every one of those cells have aquaporin channels in, so the water goes in and spreads as though it's going through like a capillary action through a sponge. So every single one of those cells is hydrated. And as a result, it's pushing toxins out. And as a result, you'll go to the toilet, you'll be peeing more. So that's the second side effect. The third side effect you're going to get is after about 3 or 4 days, you'll start to feel a sudden sense of energy boost. And the reason for this is that each of those individual cells, what are these cells? What do these cells do? They are like factories. They're all like factories. They've all got things to do. And what is it that they're producing?
Energy.
Hormones, yes. All of these things that your body does, yes. They're factories which parcel products out of the wall and it goes around the body and it starts doing things. One of those products is serotonin. So what you're actually doing is you're optimizing the inside of that cell so that it actually produces serotonin, energy levels start to go up. Yes? The last side effect you're going to get is you're going to sleep like a baby, and the reason for that is because the water, as we said, goes across all the cells, crosses the blood-brain barrier, gets into the brain, and then it produces what? Melatonin. The melatonin level goes up, melatonin helps you sleep. This is one of the reasons. So these are all the things that you're going to get as a result of drinking this kind of water. So these are the 4 main side effects. I thought that's worth mentioning because this is why this lady was getting boosting energy levels while she was on it. And this is probably one of the reasons why a case like that, someone who goes into remission, it's because of all of those reasons. You optimize all the cells. The same thing goes with all the other things like diabetes and everything else. So, any questions about that?